It is not a known fact that there are over 30,000 Roma artworks in state collections around Europe. And there is a repository of beautiful archives in multiple locations in Europe. It would be entirely possible to bring together a cultural history substantial enough to establish a ROMAMOMA, an institution that would not only archive but assert Roma artistic and intellectual presence. To witness its realization within my lifetime remains a profound wish for me. Yet, as the far right gains momentum, this vision feels increasingly fragile, its contours fading against the tide of exclusion. Still, my hope endures. I place my faith in the coming generations, in the creative force of Roma artists whose work redefines the boundaries of contemporary culture. ROMAMOMA would not merely be a museum, it would be a site of dynamic exchange where dialogue with the majority communities takes place, where solidarities are forged across peripheral landscapes, and where art, our art, claims its rightful space in history. As we said, there is currently no Roma Museum of Modern or Contemporary Art. There's no ROMAMOMA. But if there were, what should it be like? What kinds of artwork should it display and to whom? Based on what principles should it build its collection? How should it relate to existing Roma collections and Roma cultural heritage? How should it address stereotypical expressions of Roma representation and the potential pitfalls of self-representation? These are some of the questions at the heart of ROMAMOMA, a joint initiative of the European Roma Institute for Arts and Culture and of Biennale Budapest, which was recognized by the International Council of Museums, ICOM, as one of the most radical museum initiatives in 2020. The suffix MOMA in the name ROMAMOMA reminds us of the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA. It puns on the prototypical art museum and in the process draws attention to the dominant role museums play in processes of canonization and representation. The Roma people, the largest ethnic minority in Europe, live in the prefigurative, a nation built from symbolism and public assemblies rather than territory and borders. In a similar way, ROMAMOMA exists for now only in the prefigurative. Taking the form of contemporary art project, ROMAMOMA involves stakeholder communities and leverages the possibilities of collective thinking and discourse, as well as the critical and discursive potentials of contemporary art. It prefiguratively creates itself an imagined and yet real space that is home to Roma arts and artists and which is only summoned to life when cooperating with international biennales, museums, and arts and culture institutions across Europe. Roma history is characterized by survival, the successful transgenerational transference of knowledge, a respect for the natural world, and the ability to build a community while inviting universal participation. ROMAMOMA, as an institution born out of Roma heritage, knowledge, and resilience, thus has the capacity to reinvent how contemporary museums relate to time, space, nature, and community. Indeed, these values have been reflected by the international community that ROMAMOMA has sought to foster since launching its blog in 2020. ROMAMOMA's initiatives and international cooperations of performing the museum in physical spaces include participation in Documenta 15, Manifesta 14, Milan Triennale, Venice Biennale in 2019 and 22, Autostrada Biennale in 2021 and 23, and the Musem Marseille Barvalo exhibition in 2023, just to name just the most important highlights. The vision for realizing ROMAMOMA is concrete and unconditional. ROMAMOMA shall contribute to the ideas of Europe by establishing itself in a European capital that has a vivid contemporary cultural life, an openness for diversity and inclusion in the arts, a significant Roma population, and a government that is supportive of Roma. When these criteria are met, its founders vow that they will not allow the museum's presence to be used as a means to neutralize an otherwise oppressive, segregationist, or discriminative Roma policy. In other words, ROMAMOMA is affirmative sabotage. This term, taken from the work of philosopher Gayatri Spivak, perfectly describes how ROMAMOMA plans to manipulate a position within the sphere of mainstream institutions while avoiding their exigencies. ROMAMOMA continues to imagine an alternate nationhood by creating spaces that artists of Roma origin can call their own.